Hey, 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 it's Tia, baby. And I am back with another video. So even though I said that I wasn't going, that was it, that I was going to talk about the documentary. But after reading some of the comments, did I read all of them? No, because some of them were really, really long, and I don't feel like reading all of that. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not big on reading not paragraphs, but essays. No shade to people that do that. I get it. Sometimes I can get carried away with texting and it end up being a long essay, but when I'm not in the mood, I'm not in the mood. And so once I'll read like the first paragraph or the first few sentences, and I kind of get the idea of what you're talking about, so I don't have to read all of it. And I was trying to find all of the comments that were sent to me on the app that I use to know like all my statuses on my videos, but I didn't see all of the comments, and then I'm driving, so I can't really pay attention to the comments. But I decided to do another video while I'm driving, so because my mind is on it, and then when I get home I want to relax. So I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna be honest. When people don't agree with me when it comes to stuff that is obviously, not good, or I do get mad. I do get irritated, because I'm like, you don't see what I see. But that's a me thing, and I have to respect other people's opinions, and I have to understand that everybody is not going to agree with me. But a lot of times it does. I'm hard to accept that, because I know for a fact that this was not a super good documentary. But I'm not saying it was trash. It just wasn't what it opted out to be. And that is because of the advertisement. The advertisement hyped it up. So, and then, with Suzette and Chris coming together and promoting it, they hyped it up. And I'm not saying no fault to them. It's just that when you hype up something so much, you expect this project to be like out of this world. And the fact that it was mediocre to me. It was like stuff that we already seen before. I mean, yes, you have new supporters and fans that may not have paid attention to Selena, back then, or they weren't around. I understand that. You have to satisfy all genres of fans from different generations. I get that. But because we live in a technical world, everyone has access to everything, pretty much everything. And so everything that was shown on that documentary, you can see that for free on YouTube. They have clips of these things. Now, I'm not going to say, like I said in the first video, yeah, there were certain clips that we haven't seen when it pertaining to their teenage years. Yeah, but because they had a movie out, not the movie, the series, that stuff was kind of implicated in the series, some of it. And so it's like what was missing out of the movie, the series picked it up. And then when the documentary came out, the series kind of already picked up some of the things that were in the documentary. So, from the series. So it's just like repetitive. And it's like, yes, Selena unfortunately lived a short life, but she had so much footage out here. That hasn't even been released yet from the family, that's in the vaults. And I'm not saying that the family should put out everything Selena, because yes, they do want things. They should want things kept to themselves, because Selena is cherishable. Any family member that you're close to is cherishable, and you may want some cherishable moments, locked away where only your family and friends can view it. However, they have to understand that she lived in the limelight. So when you put out stuff pertaining to a celebrity, a specific celebrity, especially a celebrity that made a difference, that inspired people, they're gonna want to see more. It's like an addiction. And so just keep putting out the same type of stuff, just in different formats, it's not gonna do. I mean, it may feed off some addictions, but then they're gonna want more. Well, we've seen this already. So I mean, that's why I'm saying, like, that's why the documentary wasn't as extravagant as the other, as like the movie and things like that, because it was repetitive stuff that was already put out. And so I'm just saying, bitch, I'm sorry, Lord forgive me, I'm sorry, I'm driving, and people that just, when they act like they can't let you get over, it just irritates my soul. I mean, sometimes I do that when I'm in a rush, but it's like, you clearly see I'm in the turning only lane, and I'm trying to get over to the regular lane, and you not trying to let me over. It's just whatever. But like I said, we all have flaws, and I have plenty, and I'm not ashamed to admit them, because I'd rather admit my flaws than somebody else admit my flaws. I don't need nobody telling me who I am and what I don't do or whatever. But I'm off track. But like I said, I never said that the documentary was trash. I said it just wasn't great. It was cool. It just wasn't great. And I have every right to say that, because I have reasons to back up. Like, it was just, and like I said, they harped on so much of her teenage years, and then I hear people, and I see people in the comments saying, oh, I enjoyed it because I like that they showed never seen clips of her, as a child. 90% of the clips that was in the documentary we've seen before on YouTube. Maybe that particular person or people that made those comments didn't see it, but it's very much available on YouTube. You just gotta type in the right information for it to come up. The only thing that I would say that we didn't see online that was in the documentary was like what I said about them two going on each other about wearing the same clothes for 3 days straight and stuff like that. That was the only clip that I'd never seen online. But all the other stuff pretty much was online. And also the clip of somebody interviewing them as teenagers, like specifically Suzette and AB as teenagers, because I never heard his voice as a teenager. So yeah, those two clips specifically I never seen before. And then the other one where she was saying it's business, when she had on a short hairstyle. I think she was like 19 or whatever, but I think Chris was in the group then, but they weren't together or anything. And that, I think those are the only 3 clips that I never seen before online that they shown on a documentary. But everything else we all seen before. Most people that are fans of hers have seen before. So I'm not saying it was bad. It was just like something to put out. Just something to put out. But I feel like the advertisement hyped it up too much. And I already said what would have made it made it stand out more than the other documentaries that other people haven't done. Because I also read in a comment section that somebody said, well, this one was different because the family was involved in this, and the other projects they weren't really involved or whatever, or as much. And I'm like, the family was very much involved in all 3 projects: the series, the movie, and the documentary. Now the documentaries that the unauthorized documentary, well, I wouldn't say unauthorized, the only documentaries that the family wasn't really involved in was probably they were involved because they did like interviews in it, but they didn't like create it or anything. Was probably like the ones that like MTV did when they did Behind the Music. They did a documentary on her and stuff like that. I mean, VH1, Behind the Music. They were not involved in, they probably weren't involved in like creating it, but they were involved in the documentary because they did, some of them did interviews within the documentary. But And it was, I think Lifetime did one a long time ago, because they did one on every like type of celebrity that passed or whatever. But the main ones that had Selena as the name of the film, like the movie and the series and this documentary and stuff like that, the family was very much involved, very much. And like I said, I'm not saying they did bad work in this documentary. I just said it was just repetitive. What made it stand out, what will make it stand out, would be people of today, like different generations who was inspired, and who she inspired and who inspired her. They should have been involved in this documentary. Like Kelly Rowland, like if you saw Chris and Suzette's interview, or they were reading comments that people were commenting about when they saw the advertisement of the documentary. Kelly Rowland was one of the people that commented. And Kelly Rowland is one of the members of Destiny's Child. She's also a solo artist and actress. And she's from Texas. Well, she was raised in Texas. So, she could have been a part of the documentary and talked about maybe her interaction. Maybe she saw her in Texas. Beyonce could have been in there because she ran into, of course it's stated in the series that they ran into each other at the mall. She could have, well, she did have an interview. It was an interview about Beyonce interview. Well, she wasn't interviewing about Selena, but Selena was brought up and she talked about that interaction. That interview could have been in the documentary. If they couldn't get a hold of Beyonce herself, they could have just incorporated that that portion of the interview in the documentary. But I don't know, if you got to go through too many people to do that, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do to make something stand out. And so I feel like that's one example that could have made it stand out. Like people said in the comment section that they felt like Chris wasn't shown enough more in the documentary. True. But at the end of the day, that is true. However, her father, and her immediate family were in charge of that. So you already know they ain't gonna really, but that is kind of messed up, because for them to have, but they did that, they strategic like that. Now that I'm looking at, they are very much strategic like that, because you had this man, meaning Chris, you had him help you promote the documentary. And of course he's willing to do it because he's a great person. Why wouldn't he? You have this man promote this documentary, and then he barely was in it. I mean, he could have scheduling conflict. He could have had some other things that he had to do, but he helped promote this, one, and then two, he was her husband. So why wasn't he in it more? And I don't know. I did expect more out of that documentary, especially when in regard to their love life. But of course, this was mainly about her career, her, all of that, and I get it. And yeah, I understand that people were talking about that they felt like the dictator was like money hungry, because he said, he made a comment about her making dresses wasn't where the cash, wasn't where the money was. It was the singing. So he knew that she wasn't going to give up singing, because that's where the big bucks come from. Maybe he was just trying to be funny. I don't know. I think he was trying to be funny, but it wasn't funny. But like when he said, because he did downplay her boutique by saying, She wasn't going to quit the music industry because that's where the money, the big money, comes from, rather than making dresses. Like, he was definitely downplaying that, because if he doesn't know, or maybe he did know, she was very much passionate in the fashion world. Not saying she wasn't going to give up. She said in her interviews that she wasn't going to give up her singing career because that's her first, her first baby. That's where she started. She enjoys doing that with her family and stuff like that, but her passion is fashion, and she wanted to branch that off. She wanted to do fashion. She wanted to create fragrances. She wanted to create jewelry, all of these things. She wanted to branch it off. She wanted it to be more than an entertainer. And so she had vision. She had a goal, and she knew that if she was consistent in reaching her goal in the fashion world, that it will outweigh the music industry and could make more money. But he didn't want her to be in that, because one, he felt like she was biting off more than she can chew, and then two, he was afraid that if she was too involved in the fashion world, that she will kind of steer away from, well, not steer away, but slack off from the music world. And that's where he gets paid, because he don't get paid through the boutique and stuff. He don't run that. That's all her and her people. He gets paid by managing her career as a singer, as an artist. And if she, put that on the back burner and branch off her fashion career, he wouldn't be getting paid, and neither would the band. So his concern wasn't her boutiques and things. His concern was her music. So that's why he downplayed it like that. That's why he was acting like that to us, because he didn't care about that. He cared about what will make him money. He cared about the music, because that's his job. He was a manager. And if she not doing her job as a singer, he's not going to get paid. He's not going to have employment. So that's what he was trying to get her, keep her eyes on the prize, which is singing. That's just what it was. But of course, we see it as him being inconsiderate of her dreams, because his dreams was singing, or were singing. So I get why the backlash, and yeah, it is inconsiderate of him. But I mean, what do you expect? It is what it is. That's just what his focus was. Like I said, I think they should have never. They didn't even have to talk about her death. They didn't, because it's so much stuff out there. It's so much stuff out there. It's so much stuff out there that sorry, got distracted. It's so much stuff out there that I don't even know what I was about to say. I said something about oh yeah, it's so much stuff out there in regards to her death that they didn't need to put that in the documentary. Like, they talked about her death in the movie. They talked about her death in the series. They talked about her death in plenty of other documentaries, or you could see the news coverage of it on YouTube. I felt like they didn't have to talk about that. I mean, that, even though it was a short, it wasn't very long, but they still shouldn't have. They didn't have to talk about that. They didn't have to. Because I feel like anytime you talk about her death, you're kind of giving Yolanda more power. more exposure. And so, even though they didn't talk about Yolanda, we know who did it. I mean, he didn't have to say her name, but we know who did it. When you say Selena and her getting shot, you know who did it. So I just felt like that could have been avoided. But like I said, I gave that documentary overall like a C+. But, and then, yeah, also talking about, or B-. People were talking about Don Shelton. I said something about that in the first video. I think they should have included all the members. Even if the members were on bad terms, they should have still included all the members in there, whether they, they did have their appearances on it, like a caption of them, but they could have had their name on there. They could have talked about them briefly on there, but maybe they have a contract where they can't talk about them per se, because they may have some legal problems going. They may have some legal matters going on. Who knows? But that's why, if you have legal matters with other band members, then they shouldn't be doing a documentary until all of that is situated, because you can't name the documentary Selena y los Dinos when you got several people that are not, that you may not allegedly be in agreement with, and it could be some legal matters going on. Then you don't need to be putting out the documentary right now. Maybe you should wait until all of that has cleared, because it isn't fair to not talk about Selena y los Dinos. The y los Dinos meaning all the band members that were a part of her music career. They should have been involved in it in some form or fashion. They should have been talked about. They should have been interviewed. They should have been involved in it. And it's not fair. And it's not right. Especially Don, and then I'm not going to say just because it's Don Shelton, but like I said, he does stand out because he was the only African American in the band, and he and Selena were friends before he joined the band, and then yes, he did pass away, and so it would have been nice to have a little 5 to 10 minute, not even 10 minute, maybe 5 to 7 minute snippet of their interaction and the other band members and stuff like that. It just would have been fair all around. But that's why I say, if it's some legal matters going on, they should have waited until that has cleared, because then you won't have people talking about, well, why didn't so and so was in it? Why wasn't this in it? Why wasn't that in it? Like, that is where, and then they don't. And I know the family don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear criticism about the documentary. They don't want to hear, like, people can never be satisfied because of X, Y, and Z. Okay, yeah, there's going to always be naysayers, or, it's not going to always be perfect. But I'm just saying, it's just minor stuff like that could have been avoided, because I don't know. I don't know. But like I said, it wasn't bad. It wasn't great, and I keep finding myself repeating myself, but that's just what it is. That's just what it is. Like, I expected, like, the behind the scenes will be like her going to the mall with friends or whatever, or family. I'm sure they had a camera out once in a blue moon, or her driving somewhere, or her I'm sure they had family get-togethers where they had a party. I thought they was going to probably play that. I thought they was going to, have some, at least 20 minutes of her and Chris interaction, like candid videos of them. I thought she was going, like, maybe have, like, her behind the scenes of her pranking, because she's good. She always like to prank people. Like, her pranking people. Stuff like that. Or her probably listening to music of that time, maybe R&B musicians and things like that. her listening to maybe Mary J. Blige or a rock band or something, like have her, like, I'm sure they had some videos of candid videos of her doing things that we thought she would do and we never see it. I'm sure it's out. They have some of that. That's what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting really a documentary of her life, like a real documentary. I thought it was gonna be just a bunch of never before seen clips of her with her family, her friends, her life, her by herself. Well, not technically by herself because somebody had to film her, but running errands, things like kind of like a vlog. That's what I thought it was gonna be like, most of it anyway, but it wasn't, and it is what it is, and that's that. So let me know what y'all think about this video, and my opinions about it. And if you have any more opinions about the documentary or this video or the first video, you can comment in the comment section. Have a great weekend. Peace.